It might sound strange to say, but being a loner does have its downsides. I've been living the life of a loner pretty much exclusively for the past 10 years, or maybe longer, where I don't have any friends, no one to talk to. Even my family members feel like strangers sometimes. I live alone and keep myself to myself at work, and live a humble and peaceful life. More like a hermit now that I think about it. And while I see a lot of benefits to this lifestyle that suit me personally, there are some downsides that I'd like to share. So, let's begin. When you are entirely self-dependent, it can be really tough when something happens that's outside of your control. You get this deep, gut-wrenching feeling of powerlessness, like there's nothing you can do and you're all on your own. Such is the life of a loner, I suppose. Recently, I had an issue with my roof, for example, after a storm. A wet patch appeared on my ceiling and the roof itself was leaking. I own my house. Well, the bank owns it. I have a mortgage on it, so I don't have a landlord or anyone to call to fix things for me. And this is the kind of thing that, if you ignore it, it could cause significant damage to your house, and it'll cost loads of money in the long run. So roof problems, they have to be sorted. The problem was, this isn't something I can fix myself. I didn't have the equipment, knowledge or skills to sort this, and the feeling of powerlessness just began to creep up on me. Fortunately, I do know a good roofer. He's the only tradesman I trust, really. They're so difficult to get hold of. But he was in Brazil for 3 weeks at the time. I didn't want to risk anyone else, so waiting for him, it was a very long 3 weeks of my life. Just worrying. What if it gets worse? What if he can't fix the problem? What if the cost just spirals out of control because of some underlying issue? You can get really stuck in your head in this situation. This is particularly hard when you have a simple life, a loner life, where you're used to everything being under your control and being responsible for everything that happens to you. Fortunately, my roof was sorted in the end, but I don't think I'll ever get used to this feeling of powerlessness that I feel when this sort of thing happens. And I don't think I'd want to get used to it, really. That would mean these problems start happening a lot more often. The next downside is about sharing your success. Recently, I've come to see that success and failure are kind of like two sides of the same coin. Whether you succeed in something or fail at it, the average person, at least I think, likes to share this information with others. Friends, family, colleagues, and like when I'm in the office at work, all I hear is people banging on about their problems and struggles in life. When I think about this from an outsider's perspective, as a loner, I don't really see too much benefit in sharing your failures. Like, what good will it do? Other than reassurance, of course, but random people in your life will probably not be able to fix any big issues, like going back to my roof, for example. My colleagues wouldn't have been able to get up there and fix the leak. I suppose that perhaps they could have recommended a tradesperson they trusted, but I know from experience that in this case none of them would have been able to help. So I've come to see sharing failures as not much more than a way of seeking reassurance or validating your feelings. And that's something I'm not too interested in. Success, though, while it is kind of the same situation, I'm sure it would be nice to share success with others, but I suppose I wouldn't know much about that. I haven't shared any of my recent successes with anyone, so I was recently accepted on a workplace digital training course in an AI education program. I put a lot of work into the application, and after the selection process, I somehow got it. I'm pretty happy with this, and For a change, I'm pretty proud of myself, but the only people I've shared this with are the viewers of this YouTube channel, nobody else, no friends or family. When you're so used to not sharing things with others, it can feel overwhelming or uncomfortable to share your successes. And I suppose, well, for me at least, there is the fear of all the follow-up questions, the long conversations, as well as people always asking about your progress. I'd rather just keep things to myself, to be honest, or maybe it would be nice someday to have people with similar interests to share success with. Perhaps I can find this with YouTube as well, so we'll see. One thing I have been struggling a lot with recently, though, has been a lack of direction in life. I've always been focused on getting myself to a place where I have a comfortable enough and peaceful life. I've tried to mitigate any risk that would leave me feeling powerless and optimize my life so I have plenty of free time in case there are any issues. But the problem with this is, once you are at that place where you have a peaceful life, what next? Since I live so frugally, I don't need to worry about money. While I have a full-time job, I have so much time outside of work to do things, but I've been focused so much on getting to this stage that now I'm here, and I've got no more goals to work towards. I'm only in my 30s, so, what's the plan for the rest of life? This could be perhaps 50 or so years. I know life is tough for a lot of people at the moment with all the crises in the world and the cost of living issues, and I can see that my position is a pretty good one to be in. But life can be pretty boring once you get here. Like Notch, for example, the original creator of Minecraft. I don't know what he's up to at the moment, but I remember him posting once he sold Minecraft to Microsoft for billions of dollars, that now he has all this money and he can do what he wants. He's just bored. There was no more challenge, no more struggle, and well, I guess one way of looking at it is the new challenge is to find a way to conquer this boredom and to find a new passion in life. But that can be tough when you're so used to working towards just surviving. One other thing I really struggle with as a loner is sudden surprises, like things that a regular person might see as good or might expect to happen. They might look forward to this sort of thing. I live a pretty regimented life though, where I know what I'll be up to every day, every weekend. I like it like this, so I know what to expect. But recently, a few days ago actually, my mother has decided she's going to come and stay with me for the Easter weekend. And I know I should look forward to this. And this is the first time another person has come to see me for about a year now. And I haven't seen her for a while, but, well, in some way I was looking forward to having a quiet Easter break. So, where I work, we get the whole period off, so 5 or so paid days off. And for once I had a plan, which was to actually carry on making some of these videos. But this whole channel of mine is a complete secret to everyone. Everyone who might know me, I've not told any colleagues, any family members about it. So I need to put all of these plans off. I know I sound ungrateful for all this, but when you live a structured, organised life, it would be nice to have a bit of a longer notice than a few days. I can't imagine what it's like for these couples who take each other on surprise holidays and meals constantly. That sounds like an absolute nightmare for me, to not be in control of what I do. But that's pretty much it for now. I know I only managed to come up with 4 downsides to being a loner, and I'm sure there are plenty more. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you might have some ideas for obvious things I might have missed, but these are all from my recent experience. I really don't mind the life though. For me, the most important things are peace, financial security, and free time, which I plan on using for something eventually. Thanks for listening though, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that will be.